You may have some question about, I guess, things that are on the wood, like that black mark. This stuff is really not a concern. Some people go, oh God, there's black mold in my house. It's not, that's not what it is. Most of it's just mildew. And it's because it was stacked in the yard and got wet and developed some mildew. But as it's in the attic and it's dried out, anything below 16% moisture, all the mold and mildew is going to be completely dormant. It's not an issue. So they bring that up. You know, you can kind of try to allay their concerns a little bit by saying, well, there's no moisture available. So unless there was a leak in the roof or a plumbing leak or something like that, then it wouldn't continue to grow or anything. So it's really not of any concern. It's more just an aesthetic deal. But at the end of the day,
question of parking and knots in the wood or whatever, you know, this wood is graded through lumber mills. You go through grading.
I got a question.
yep.
Sometimes I've seen like builders use this, not other builders use these 2x4s or like this pink looking color.
Temple purples. They come from Temple, Texas. It's their branding. It's their way of branding the wood.
Like
It's Southern Yellow Pine, which is what this is. And the spruce pine fir is the stud grade, and Southern Yellow Pine with the other stuff. But it's the same wood. They just end up doing, that is basically a different branding. Yeah, it's one plant in Belton, Texas, or Temple, Texas, I believe it is. And that's just their way of differentiating their product. Oh, I want some purple studs. You know what I mean? It's kind of that a good little niche for them. And they actually will have stamps on here. So this wood is Douglas fir. It's kiln dried. It's #2 grade. So you can see these grading stamps on here, and that's really what's more applicable. So this grade is more important than what color they are, I guess. And this is a visual grading process. So the fact that this corner is not full is not an issue, because this is not trim grade material. This is #2 grade material. And for #2 grade material, it's more for structural purposes. So it's not the trim for the house. So from a structural standpoint, it's fine. There are design values for bending and flex as far as what a #2 Southern Yellow Pine does, what a spruce pine fir #2 or better. All these different grades of material have design properties associated with them. And we use span tables and engineering calculations based on those design properties. So even if it has a little bark on it, like Vic was saying, like where's a good example? Okay, so that's still a #2 board based on their visual grading processes, which is standardized across the country. They audit them all the time. The lumber yards and mills have to check all their material. That's still a #2 board. So at the end of the day, that's the question. That wouldn't be a #1 or select structural, which would have different design properties, but it meets the criteria for a #2. So that's really where that visual grading comes in. So if they have questions about that, you can kind of point them to that stamp and say, this is the verification that this board was checked by an auditor. I mean, they stamp every piece of material. Because you can't use #3, there are lower grades. And stud grade is a different grade than #2, and it can only be used for vertical applications, whereas these #2 boards could be joists or rafters and other stuff. So there are standardized criteria. It's not like we just stick whatever wood we can find up on the walls or the ceilings. There's a very organized process to it.